Greetings, YouTubers. It's your boy, the one and only Flint Town boy. Just turned 10:39 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Your date today is Wednesday, June the 29th, 2016. Panorama view of the former Pearson Elementary School. As you can see, they put some hoops up. Uh, Went to Landmark and got some stuff. And let me step out here for a moment to help you guys out here. This I came here for. I don't know. I think the Holy Spirit led me here. He's bringing me back to a lot of uh, before I actually got in the predicament that I'm in. When I last stayed by myself before I started having to stay with relatives. Uh, it's been a rough decade for me in that way. But if you can see, if I pan over here, if I'm not mistaken, this concrete is old Pearson. You can see concrete over here from here all the way here. This was Pearson. Well, you see the concrete for this basketball court. If I'm not mistaken, this was Pearson Elementary School. And then, the school was like 2, 3 stories tall. So from here to here and here around, everywhere you see the concrete, this was old Pearson Elementary School. But this place is has a lot of other sentimental uh uh it's very sentimental to me because I used to come up here a lot when I stayed on Tremont, the last place I stayed when I had my own place. And I would come up here from '04, '05, '06. I just reminisce back to when I was staying a little further down, a little further back that way over my grandmother's house over on Baltimore. Her house is tore down. Found that out last year. Uh, so when we stayed at the Oakview Apartments, which is now Rosewood, and has been for a while, we used to come up here. Oh boy, man. I went to Mod Adult right there, the Bryant Center. Is what you're looking at. I went there 20 years ago. Um, Bunch was long gone 20 years ago. Uh, I don't even think the bill. I'm trying to remember when they tore it down, but I'm pretty sure by 2006 it was already demolished because it stood up for some years after they closed it. It's been, it stood up for a while before they tore it down. Now it's been torn down well for 20 years now. Uh, it was gone, I believe, by '96 when I was up here going to school. But back this way, you can see there's a Landmark. That Family Dollar's been closed. Yeah, so where the where Value City department store is the South Flint Plaza. This is the North Flint Plaza. Uh, so many memories over here, y'all. It's just crazy. Like this area is my life story. And I explained that to you guys last year, and I meant every word of it. This area is still essentially the same area where Baltimore is at, where Moore is at. We stayed on Moore twice. Stayed on Baltimore with my grandmother. Uh, man, and then we was on Stewart last year. And then when I stayed on Pasadena, that's a little further down. This is my pretty much life story over here. This is I'm me because of this area. This is what they call Pearson Hood. And if you look right over in there where you see the Rosewood apartment complex, which I remember when they first started building it, Rosewood apartment complex was Oview Manor. And Oview Manor is where we stayed when I went to Bunch. And, a lot has changed in 10 years, as you would imagine, but 20 years, hell, guys, 30 years ago, Pearson was still open. Bunch down the street was still open. Those were my first two schools that I ever went to. See if I can get you. Yeah, first two schools I ever went to was Pearson right here was my second, and Bunch, which is where I was going to go initially and changed my mind. These basketball rims were not up here 10 years ago, so I know they weren't up here 20 years ago. Uh, yeah, yeah, yeah. 30 years ago, Pearson School would be right here where I'm standing. Just imagine it covering from that end of the concrete to that end and being about 2 or 3 stories high. Part of the tragedy of Flint, Michigan, before we had the water crisis, uh, we had blight, and dilapidated and abandoned homes and uh, businesses going out of, places going out of business, and then of course we've always had the crime for a long time now, and it's just depressing because then after that the water came in as if we needed something uh, to to add to the problems, and now we got all these abandoned homes and abandoned businesses filing for bankruptcy, and people just want to get the fuck up out of here. Um, these neighborhoods at one time were thriving. The other week I did a video from the old uh what do you call it? The old where I said my mother stayed. I don't know why sometimes I have a hard time remembering what it was called. The boy, I hate that I can't remember that right off the top of my head. But it was where black people congregated from the south when they came to Flint. As the wow, I cannot remember it, and I had trouble the other week when I put that video up. Um, and I'll remember right after I cut the camera off. So I had my blind moment, and then after I cut the camera off, I'd be like, "Oh, Eureka!" But there's the bus. See that actually kind of clear. See some cars coming by. That's the Landmark Plaza. Landmark's been there forever. But those are the newer buses that came. They're not the new ones. They have newer ones than that they just recently got. These are like from 2012-ish, I would say. You could barely hear them. Yeah, you can barely hear them. But there's some newer ones than that. They're not as bulky as those. Those are kind of bulky. Um, it's a hoop. It's another hoop, but the sun is. I can't see nothing but me. Okay, now I can see the hoop. I'm just giving you a nice panorama of Bryant, man. And the thing is, like I said, if you go back to this place, to this neighborhood, every 10 years, I was at a different stage in my life. Like I said, 10 years ago, I had my own place, and I was in my late 20s. I would come up here. I came up here on and off for 2 years so much. I would come right through this pathway. You see where you can kind of see the stop sign a little further back. That would take me almost all the way back down to Tremont, and then I would just have to cross what is it, Carpenter Road. And once I crossed Carpenter Road, I was back into Beecher, Mount Morris, whichever one you want to refer to it as. And I used to come up here all the time. That was 10 years ago. 20 years ago, I was going to school right here, not adult, high school. And I remember plenty of days walking through these side streets right here, uh, coming to school. And, that was my, man, I would have been in my late teens. So I was a baby then, 20 years ago. Now, then, if you go back 30 years ago, uh, that would be a little bit after I left. Uh, because we would have moved. We moved from over here in 84. So 86 was like 2 years after I left, but it was the same time period though. That's the thing. It was the same time period as 2000, I mean 1984. 1986 was just 2 years later, you know. So it was really, if I came up here, it still was the same time period in which I used to, when I was going to Pearson. You know, like I said, that was my second school. Then we moved to on Moore Street, which is not too far from here. Which then I went to Merle. So then we moved from Pearson Hood to Merle Hood. You know, so uh, many memories, y'all. It's sad what's happened to Flint. No jobs, no opportunities, businesses leaving, closing, homes closing, schools closing, people leaving. It's just it's just pray for us, y'all. And then we had the water crisis, as if we needed another slap. We already had like 10 million slaps against us to begin with. And then we got yet another one with the water crisis. It's like dilapidation, white flight, crime, poverty, and then the water got poisoned. Really, like as if we needed one more thing. All right, since I did this video, I don't know if I'm gonna really chill up here because there's too many damn bugs. I might go down a bunch and chill and do another one. So I could call this, I want to call this one Remembering My Past 1, Northside Chronicles. Yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna call this, the Northside Chronicles. My childhood, the nasty North, Flint, Northside. All right, y'all. I am signing off for Flint Town Boy. I will be back with you in a hot second. I'm going to Bunch, which was supposed to be a community center. I don't know what happened with that. Don't look like that materialized either. Wow. Go figure. It's Flint. 10:53 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Wednesday, June the 29th, 2016. Flint Town Boy signing off. I will see you on the other side when I get to Bunch, my first school that I ever went to. This used to be Pearson Elementary School. I'm going to show you what used to be Bunch Elementary School, although Bunch is still physically there. Peace!